Okay, we're already on lesson 2 and we're going to talk about types of communication. So, communication actually takes different terms on different contexts. So, communication is just defined as, okay, take note of this. Please do take note if you're listening to this YouTube or viewing this YouTube channel. It's defined as an exchange of thoughts, ideas, concepts, and views between or among two or more people that in various contexts comes into play. So communication is just an exchange of ideas and thoughts. And usually when we think about communication, we think about people talking, right? But actually communication can be many things. For example, that is already a form of communication. That's either I'm crazy or this is flirtation. A wink of an eye, that's also a form of communication. A wave of the hand is also a form of communication. That's not a kiss. That's how Filipinos point at things. That's also a form of communication. So it's an exchange between two or more people. Now, context is the circumstance or the environment in which communication takes place. So, communication would differ depending on the context. For example, mag-send ka og mga text na all caps and you are sending that text message to a stranger on the internet. That stranger would be angered with you. So please do not use all caps. But if you're just doing it with a friend who also uses all caps, the context is different. Do you get the point? Okay? So it's different from one person to another, one environment to another. For example, here in the Philippines, when you use this, it means you're crazy. But in Germany, it means the same thing. However, in Germany, you can be legally prosecuted for just doing this to another person, which means you're crazy. That's actually a different same thing, different context, different consequences. Now, different contexts can impact one's communication, so each communication type is governed by a particular circumstance. Thus, it is really important to pay attention to the surroundings that are part of the communication process. Do you get me? Now, some people take things too literally, but it's important in effective communication to read between the lines and also know the context. Now, let's discuss types of communication according to mode. So you have your verbal, non-verbal, and visual. Again, if according to mode, you have your verbal, non-verbal, and your visual. Now, effective communication is a blend of verbal and non-verbal communication. Meaning, your actions reflect your words or your words reinforce your action. Mura gud nanguyab, di ba? If ang babayi, musugot gani na siya, dapat all out. Kita na and all, sure. But, if mubalibad ang babayi, dapat dili ko, pero lahi day ang imong actions. Diba? That's going to be very confusing. It gives a confusion to your suitor, if you have a suitor during this pandemic. Congrats. Now, for example, another example, one cannot be separated from another. That's verbal and non-verbal. So for instance, a door-to-door salesperson to demonstrate product knowledge can only be effective if they know how to properly punctuate what they say with proper gestures and facial expressions. Example, you're an usher. Okay, another example, you're an usher at a church. Ushers are supposed to be friendly, smiling. Before COVID, kay di man gid maklaro imong ngisi anang face mask. But then, you get the point. So, whenever a person welcomes you and then, morning, then, how would you feel? Rather than when they would say, hello, good morning, welcome. Okay? So, an effective blend of verbal and nonverbal would be the second scenario, wherein your actions match your words, your tone matches your words. So, that's effective communication. So, when you were in senior high school, you were trained to blend verbal and nonverbal modes of communication. In fact, when meeting people for the first time, so you know what? First impressions last. I don't know what's your impression of me after I'm posting this video. Probably you think that your teacher is crazy because she's speaking to a video cam all alone in a classroom. I don't know. What's your first impression of me? We haven't met each other yet, except for those whom I have already met in the Zoom meeting. Okay? Then you also have your visual communication. So what is visual? So visual is using your eyes. So everything, examples, signs, symbols, imagery, maps, graphs, charts, diagrams, pictograms, photos, drawings, or illustrations are forms of visual communication. And then we also have emojis. We use a lot of emojis, stickers, avatars. We have been creating those. I really like avatars. Although I haven't published mine on Facebook, but I really like them because they're like me, but in avatar form. I'm not the type of person who likes to place a lot of stuff in my chat. Kinsa ba yun, ana? Diba? Kapoy ginandaghang chat. So usually I would just send an emoji or a sticker or an avatar because for me that is easier. But it really depends on the person. Some people really like long text messages, but for me I just like shorter ones. It's easier to grasp. And for me, it means that the person actually took the time to choose these images for me. But it's also very important that you know the meanings of these symbols. Diba? So, for example, you're supposed to be happy, but then your emoji, so may emoji nga ko, nanipat, na siguro happy ka, but your emoji was crying. It's kind of difficult to understand, diba? Emojis on their own without your verbal text are difficult. Okay? So, symbols are interpreted and they're very crucial in visual communication. That's why a lot of people get into trouble because of visual communication. Example, red. Everybody loves the color red. I don't know with you, but I really love the color red. But it's not a color that's welcome on some occasions. Valentine's Day, birthdays, and Christmas, it's very beautiful to see red, people wearing red. But during a funeral, and I would guarantee that you would be the person who will be replacing that dead body in the casket because you're wearing red. Diba? So it's very important to know the meanings of these visual communication. You can't just put up symbols. And I remember this funny thing. Just this summer, people were really bashing the fans of BTS. By the way, I'm a BTS fan, but I am not a certified ARMY. Do you get what I mean? Because when you're a certified ARMY, it has a bad connotation. I'm just a tita. Tita lang po ako, wag niyo ako i-bash. But in the Philippines, it was a rumor that the armies were trademarking the Purple Heart. And then when you were going to use the Purple Heart and you're not an army, people will bash at you. I don't know if these were just fan wars or whatever, but I don't believe that it's true. Or I do believe it's true. I don't know who's doing that anyway. But the Purple Heart, okay, that symbol, doesn't really mean anything. It's not an exclusive property of BTS. Anybody can use it. For me, okay, army, please don't come after me. But, you know, the Purple Heart. So it's very important to understand these things, okay? But I would just tell you right away, nobody owns the Purple Heart. It was created without a trademark. It's the same as the yellow, green, and whatever heart. And you have to understand that if you're a fan of BTS, anybody can use the Purple Heart. Okay, so don't come after me. I've already turned this comment section off and the dislikes off, so you don't have anything against me. But anyway, that was just a segue. You have to understand how symbols work so that you won't make a fool out of yourself or you won't be prosecuted in court, because there are actually symbols that can put you into prison. For example, sa may pili na ako may example. For example, you're going to get the name of Jollibee, the trademark of McDonald's, and then use that for your own restaurant, perhaps. So you can be criminally liable for that. Okay, so it's very important to understand visual symbols. Now, it's also important that visual symbols, now we are going to have a more in-depth discussion of that one, but at least you know the meaning, the three modes of communication: verbal, spoken, visual, and your, ano ba yun? Non-verbal. So the proper communication according to mode is a blend, a beautiful blend of all the three. Murag 3-in-1, 3-in-1. Okay? So that's the end of our second video, and we're going to hop on to the third video to finish all of your lessons in a single day.